So picture this, a totally normal modern apartment. An investigator decides to stay the night, alone, with a camera rolling. What could possibly go wrong? Well, that's when things get weird. In this breakdown, we're going to dive into a paranormal case where the evidence is just as creepy as the stories that came before it.
The gate opened. Brother, the gate opened. Those are the words of someone running for his life. Absolute terror in his voice. But what he saw, well, that wasn't even the start of the story. To really get what's going on, we have to rewind a bit and look at the place where all this happened.
All right, let's set the stage. Long before any cameras were set up, this particular flat, it already had a bit of a reputation. And the whole thing kicked off not with some big, scary ghost sighting, but with something you could barely hear.
Okay, so the first thing you need to get out of your head is the idea of some old, spooky, rundown mansion. Nope, this is a modern apartment. Fully furnished, clean, totally normal. And honestly, that's what makes this whole thing so much more unsettling. The fear isn't coming from a creepy old house. It's coming from a place that looks just like yours or mine.
So why would investigators even bother with a place like this? Well, it all started with these little things, these sounds. People who visited kept saying they'd hear two distinct things. First, the jingle of a woman's bangles, and second, a voice that would just call out from a room where nobody was. It wasn't loud, it was subtle, but it happened over and over again. Enough for someone to say, okay, we need to check this out.
So, armed with these stories, our investigator decides to do what they do best. Spend the night there, completely alone. He gets his camera set up, locks the doors, and just waits. And let me tell you, he did not have to wait very long for things to start happening.
So the big question is, with the doors locked and the camera running all night, what did he actually manage to capture? It started off small, kind of subtle, but that didn't last.
What the camera picked up was this classic escalation. First, something small moves on a shelf, just a tiny shift, enough to make you question if you even saw it. But then it gets more direct. The investigator actually asks a question out loud, and bam, a faucet in the bathroom turns on, full blast. And then comes the big one, the clear, unmistakable sound of a pile, an anklet. That's the sound everyone was talking about. It's like whatever was there was slowly ramping things up, almost like it was testing him.
But here's the crazy part. While all of this is happening to the main investigator, he wasn't totally alone in the building. His colleague was in a hotel room right next door, connected to the flat. And the experience that guy had, honestly, it might have been even scarier.
I saw someone walking. Yeah, that's what the colleague said. His experience wasn't about sounds. He saw something. He says he saw the bottom half of a person, just legs, in black pants, walk right past him in the bathroom. Can you imagine? It was so real, so out of nowhere, that he didn't stick around to investigate. He just grabbed his phone and bolted.
And if you look at the timeline, you can see just how fast this all went down for me. He checks in at 8 o'clock. About an hour later, the TV just clicks off by itself. Weird, but okay. But then, only 15 minutes later, he sees the figure in the washroom. And that was it. 5 minutes after that, he's out of the room and desperately calling his partner from the lobby.
So now the main investigator gets this panicked call from his colleague. So what does he do? He decides to go into that exact room his friend just fled from. It's late, 11:31 p.m., and he wants to see for himself if there's any proof to back up this terrifying story. And this right here is where the whole case takes a really strange turn. The activity in the two rooms doesn't match up at all. In the main flat, everything, the sound of the anklets, the small objects moving, it all kind of points to a female presence, right? But in the room right next door, his colleague sees a male figure. It's bizarre. You have to wonder, are there two completely different things haunting these two rooms?
So the investigator goes into the room his buddy just ran screaming from. What does he find? Does anything he sees match the panicked story he just heard?
As soon as he walks in, he sees clues that definitely suggest a hasty exit. There's food left uneaten, bags thrown around. It looks like someone left in a real hurry. Then, the TV, the same one his colleague said turned off, suddenly turns on all by itself. And, to top it off, he finds a towel on the floor, way across the room from where it was supposed to be hanging. Something definitely happened in here.
Okay, so let's just step back and put all of this together. We're talking about just a few hours. Two different rooms, right next to each other. And a whole bunch of really weird stuff was reported, and some of it was even caught on camera.
So when you boil it all down, the evidence really falls into three categories. First, you've got kinetic stuff, physical objects moving on their own. Second, you have the audio evidence, that clear sound of an anklet, which points to a female spirit. And then third, you have the visual evidence, an actual eyewitness sighting of a male figure, which seems to be backed up by the other strange things that happened in that room.
Which leaves us with one huge lingering question. What was really going on in that flat? I mean, was this all just a crazy string of coincidences? Maybe some faulty wiring, an overactive imagination? Or did these investigators actually stumble upon a case with two totally different entities haunting the same modern apartment? All the so-called evidence is there for you to see, but the answer? Well, that's still very much a mystery.